Tonight and every night for the rest of your life, I want you to take the last 5 minutes before you go off to sleep and realize that you are about to program your subconscious mind. All right? Your subconscious mind is most at home when you are unconscious, when you are asleep. If you spend the last 5 minutes of your day, which so many people do, reviewing all of the things that you don't like and all the things that didn't work out and how terrible you feel and who abused you and who was mean to you and who said this and they did this, and you're constantly doing this kind of thing with your mind, then you are programming your subconscious mind that when you awaken, because you're now about to marinate for the next 8 hours in your subconscious mind. And then when you awaken, you will rejoin the universal subconscious mind, the mind of God, from which we all originate. We're all just individualized personal expressions of that one thing that we call the Tao, or God, or divine mind, or soul, or spirit. But the Tao that can be named is not the Tao. So you want to be real careful about how you program your subconscious mind. This is from the book of Job. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls upon men while slumbering on their beds, then he opens the ears of men and seals their instruction. Job 33, 15 and 16. When you are slumbering on your bed, he opens your ears and seals your instruction. What you place into your subconscious mind as you are about to go into this deep slumber is all dependent upon what you do the last 3 or 4 or 5 minutes before you go off to sleep. You want to place into your imagination whatever you have placed into the I am that I spoke about earlier. I am well, I am content, I am peaceful, I am happy, I am prosperous, I am abundant, I am God, I am God, I am God. Because at the basic core, each and every one of us are just that. It's like if you just close your eyes and just listen to this meditation. It's from the book 3 Magic Words. Here's what I'd like you to say to yourself at night. I know that I am pure spirit, that I always have been, and that I always will be. There is inside me a place of confidence and quietness and security where all things are known and understood. This is the universal mind, God, of which I am a part, and which responds to me as I ask of it. This universal mind knows the answer to all of my problems, and even now, the answers are speeding their way to me. I needn't struggle for them. I needn't worry or strive for them. When the time comes, the answers will be there. I give my problems to the great mind of God. I let go of them, confident that the correct answers will return to me when they are needed. Through the great law of attraction, everything in life that I need for my work and fulfillment will come to me. It is not necessary that I strain about this, only believe. For in the strength of my belief, my faith will make it so. I see the hand of divine intelligence all about me, in the flower, the tree, the brook, the meadow. I know that the intelligence that created all these things is in me and around me, and that I can call upon it for my slightest need. I know that my body is a manifestation of pure spirit, and that spirit is perfect. Therefore, my body is perfect also. I enjoy life, for each day brings a constant demonstration of the power and wonder of the universe and myself. I am confident, I am serene, I am sure. No matter what obstacle or undesirable circumstance crosses my path, I refuse to accept it, for it is nothing but illusion. There can be no obstacle or undesirable circumstance to the mind of God, which is in me around me and serves me now. This is the great lesson. Know this within you. When Herman Melville was writing Moby Dick, he wasn't writing about a man looking for a whale. He was writing about a man trying to find his higher self. He said these words, "For as this appalling ocean surrounds the verdant land, so in the soul of man lies one insular Tahiti, full of peace and joy, but encompassed by all of the horrors of the half-lived life." In every moment of your life as you leave here today, you have this choice. You can either be a host to God or a hostage to your ego. It's your call. Thank you. God bless you. Namaste. Thank you.
What follows is my 10-step program for implementing the intentions to attract the right people into your life. Step 1. Move away from hoping, wishing, praying, and begging for the right person or people to show up in your life. Know that this is a universe that works on energy and attraction. Remind yourself that you have the power to attract the right people to assist you with any desire, as long as you're able to shift from ego-driven energy to match up with the all-providing source of intention. This very first step is crucial, because if you can't banish all doubt about your ability to attract helpful, creative, loving people, then the remaining 9 steps will be of little use to you. Intending ideal people and divine partners begins with the knowing in your heart that it's not only a possibility, but a certainty. Step 2. Conceptualize your invisible connection to the people you'd like to attract to your life. Let go of your exclusive identification with the appearance of your body and its possessions. Identify with the invisible energy within you that sustains your life by directing the functions of your body. Now recognize that this same energy source flowing through the people you perceive to be missing from your life, and then realign yourself in thought with that person or persons. Know within you that this power of intention connects the two of you. Your thoughts of creating this merger also emanate from that same field of universal intention. Step 3. Form a picture in your mind of meeting the person or persons you'd like to have assist you or be in partnership with. Manifesting is a function of spiritual intention matching up in vibrational harmony with your desires. Be as specific as you'd like, but don't share this visualizing technique with anyone else, because then you'll be asked to explain yourself, defend yourself, and have to deal with the low energy of doubt that will inevitably occur. This is a private exercise between you and your source. Step 4. Act upon the inner picture. Begin to act as if everyone you meet is a part of your intention to attract ideal people into your life. Share with others your needs and desires without going into detail about your spiritual methodology. Be proactive and stay alert for signs of synchronicity, never ignoring them. If a truck drives by with a phone number advertising what you need, jot the number down and call it. See all so-called bizarre coincidences surrounding your desires as messages from Source and act upon them immediately. I assure you that they'll occur repeatedly. Step 5. Take the path of least resistance. Resistance is lowered energy. Source is high energy. High, creative, expansive energy. When your thoughts are low energy vibrations, you simply can't attract the high energy people you need or desire. Even if they came rushing up to you announcing, "Here I am, how can I serve you? I'm willing and able," and carrying a sign saying, "I'm yours," you wouldn't recognize or believe them while you're so busy trying to attract more of what you can't have and don't deserve. Step 6. Practice being the kind of person you wish to attract. As I've touched on before, if you want to be loved unconditionally, practice loving unconditionally. If you want assistance from others, extend assistance whenever and wherever you have the opportunity. If you'd like to be the recipient of generosity, then be as generous as you can, as frequently as you can. This is one of the simplest and most effective ways of attracting the power of intention. Step 7. Detach from the outcome and practice infinite patience. This is the crucial step of faith. Don't make the mistake of evaluating your intentions as successes or failures on the basis of your little ego and its personal time schedule. Put out your intention and practice everything that I'm speaking about in this tape, and then let go. Create a knowing within and let the universal mind of intention handle the details. Step 8. Practice meditation, particularly the japa meditation, to attract ideal people and divine relationships. Practice the repetition of the sound that is in the name of God as a mantra, literally seeing in your mind's eye the energy you're radiating, bringing the people you desire into your life. You will be astounded by the results. Step 9. Look upon everyone who has ever played any role in your life as having been sent to you for your benefit. Everything and everyone in your personal history had to be there when they were. And what's the evidence for this? There they were. They were there. That's all you need to know. Don't use what transpired in the wake or the wrong people who showed up in your wake as a reason why you can't attract the right person today. It's your past, nothing more than a trail you've left behind. And finally, step 10, as always, remain in a state of eternal gratitude. Even be grateful for those whose presence may have caused you pain and suffering. Be thankful to your source for sending them and to yourself for attracting them to you. They all had something to teach you. Now be grateful for everyone God sends to your path, and know as a co-creator that it's up to you to either resonate with the high, loving energy of intention and keep those like-energized people in your life, or give them a silent blessing and a pleasant no thank you. And the emphasis is on the thank you, for that is true gratitude in action. Through relationships with others and by using the power of intention, we can radiate outward all of the energy necessary to attract what we desire. I urge you to move into this awareness now and know in your heart, just as the farmer in Field of Dreams knew, that if you build this inner dream, surely it will come.
You have to send away all blame for everything in your life. All right? All blame must go. You can't be blaming anything that's going on in your life. Your birth order, it doesn't matter whether you're the youngest, the oldest, the middle child. It's like wherever you are is where you were supposed to be. And if your parents did anything, you remind yourself that they did what they knew how to do. You can't ask any more of anyone. And forgive them, whatever it is. Whoever in your life is causing any dissonance, any anguish, any pain, whoever they are, any grudges that you've had, any anger that you're holding on to, anything that's lasted a long time, forgive. And if you keep that in mind and take all the blame out and say, I created who I am. My personality is who I chose. If I have been shy, I didn't inherit shy genes. I have been making shy choices. I am not a nervous person. I have been making nervous choices. I am not a person who's not good at selling. I have been making non-selling choices. Just for a moment, just take a couple of minutes and just kind of calm yourself down and try this with me. Just try it. Hold your hand out if you want to. I mean, however you want to do it. And picture in your hand a lemon. Kind of close your eyes if you want to and listen to my instructions. And take the lemon and feel the texture of the lemon. And open your eyes and look at it. See if you can see a lemon there. See if you can see the little bumps that are on a lemon. See if you can see the little green nub on one end and how it comes to sort of a little point at the other end. And feel it. And feel a little bit of the moisture almost that's on the skin. Just practice for a second. Just take a knife, paring knife, your favorite knife, and just cut it right down the center, right in half. Right? Just cut a slice it. Yeah. And then take the pointy-ended side and put it away. And then take the other half of the lemon and look at it. And run your finger along the top of it and feel the moisture. Can you feel that? Now take the lemon, and as you hold it and see that lemon, just move it up close to your nose so that you can smell it. Just bring it right up and smell the fragrance of it. See if you can actually smell the citric acid. Now hold it close to your nose. Now take it back down. Now open up your mouth and take the lemon and move it up close to your mouth, as close as you can get it, and take a bite right out of it. Go ahead, just take a bite out of it. Now what's happening in your mouth right now? Okay. Do you have saliva in your mouth? Most of you have. You're going to get a little more in about another 5 seconds. You feel the saliva coming into your mouth? Why is saliva coming into your mouth? Because citric acid is attacking your mouth right now. And the only defense you have against citric acid in the billions of years of evolution that have produced you is saliva. Saliva goes into your mouth to fight it. It's still there, isn't it? Mouth kind of dry. You feel it? That's visualization. It's nothing difficult. There's nothing complex about it. That's what hypnotism is.
The importance of visualization for me and imagery can be related to almost every single thing that you do in life. If you're a salesperson and you visualize a sale not working out, or even if you have that thought that that person probably won't want to buy this thing from me, or they won't want to close on this deal that we have agreed to, if you think that way and visualize it that way, you're creating the opportunity for you to have exactly that happen to you. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you see it in your mind as working out, closing the deal, getting someone to buy the product, whatever it is, and if you're selling brake linings to a hardware store, and you can see the brake linings on their shelf, and you can see the receipt, and you can practice that image and see it, and then operate on that image. If it doesn't work out, let's start from that premise. You say, all right, instead of, see, this guy's wrong, I knew that this karma stuff, and I don't want to hear any more of this stuff. You don't do that. You say, there's something in this for me. It's not supposed to be working out right now. I wonder what I can do to learn from that. Let me re-examine it. Let me look at it. You don't blame anybody else, all right? Blame must go. If you are going into a tax audit and you believe that it's not going to work out, you are going to act out on that auditing image that you have in your mind. And you will not prepare yourself in the same way as if you believe that you're not going to have to pay more taxes and that you've been an honest taxpayer and that you filled out your forms properly and that you are entitled to not have to pay additional taxes, and that's how you're going to operate. And you get an accountant who believes that as well, and you go in from that premise, you'll find yourself having much, much less difficulty than if you go in saying, they're going to look through my records, it's going to take 2 days, they have no right to go through all of these things, I hate it when they do this, and you go through this whole process. You are creating what it is that you don't want for yourself, because you're going to operate and behave on the basis of whatever image you have. If you believe it's going to be nasty, you're going to start behaving in ways to have that outcome come about. If you want to get a parking place, you can image yourself seeing one. Instead of looking for no place to park, you begin to see yourself as having one. If you want to have health, you begin to see yourself looking and feeling and acting the way you want to, and never detracting from that picture. And you can make that happen for yourself in your life. If you don't want negative things to go on in your life, then practice visualizing and having positive affirmations toward the things that you previously thought negatively about. Your thought processes create the images that you have. Those images create the behavior, and you can't back one up from the other unless you're willing to think that it's going to work out, and that's the premise you're operating from. That's a very important point for people if they want to be enlightened. If you believe that it's going to work out, then you'll start to see opportunities. If you don't, then you'll see obstacles.
This world we're in right now, I mean, it needs what we're speaking about here in a big way. It needs an I am God in the sense of I am love as what we walk around with in our peace and in our quiet, because this is the first time in the history of this country that a child born today's life expectancy is less than its parents'. It's never happened before. And its expectancy for earning what it can earn is seriously diminished from what its parents were. And we have, we have a nation of addicts. I mean, not just to illegal drugs and so on, but to just prescriptions, violence, contamination, addictions. We get enough people thinking that I am God and I am love and projecting it. I mean, one of the things I got from watching what you did with Oprah is the awareness that when we reach elevated levels of consciousness that you're speaking about, when we are totally here, now, present, that we don't just affect ourselves, but we literally affect those around us, right? I mean, is that what you're teaching? I mean,
yes.
That was very impactful to me, that it's important for me to pay attention and to be astonished, because not just because I'll feel better and I'll have a nice conversation like this, but because the next person that I encounter will be impacted by that, and the next, and enough of us, the number of people in here, the number of people watching. I mean, I think it's what we're called to do, Eckhart. I think that's why we have a voice. I really do.
It's on the people you come into contact with, your state of consciousness or your state of unconsciousness also transmits itself. So one negative person can create a chain reaction of negativity in many others, and in the same way, a conscious person can dissolve streams of negativity. The buck stops here. If you're conscious and non-reactive, the stream stops, it dissolves in the presence that you are. And so not only do you affect those you come into contact with, you affect the collective, the underlying collective field of human consciousness. So I feel sure that you affect countless others you never even meet, because all human consciousness is connected. The consciousness of every individual human at a deeper level is part of the collective consciousness of humanity.
And it's beyond people too, though, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, I was with Christian Northrup. Do you know Dr. Northrup? Just in Pasadena, we were giving a talk together, and she was so excited just before she was going on to speak. She said, I just saw this incredible piece of research. She said that when you have a garden and you plant vegetables in the garden for you to eat, that whatever it is that you need in terms of what is missing in your life, whether it's a vitamin deficiency or whether it's your immune system deficiency or if you've got cancer or whatever it is, those plants that are nurtured by you will provide just for you what you need when you eat them, not for the person next door. I mean, that's an amazing piece of research. So it isn't just human consciousness. I think it's like there's a symbiotic kind of thing, and it's like there's some people, like when you walk into a room, you just know. I mean, I walked into a room once with Mother Teresa many years ago, and it's like everything changed. The room was in a different state. Patanjali had these wonderful words. He said, when you're steadfast, that means you never slip. When you're steadfast in your abstention of thoughts of harm directed towards yourself and others, that all living creatures will cease to feel fear in your presence. I mean, we can impact the whole sphere, the whole universe, I think, can be impacted if we just begin to recognize that we are God. We are God. T.S. Eliot had that wonderful note. He said, we shall not cease from exploration, but at the end of all of our exploring will be to return to the place from which we originated and to know it for the first time.
Yes.
I don't think you have to die for that. I think he was speaking about death, but I don't think we are.
The Tao teaches us about how to think differently. First of all, it teaches us how to think in a way that is in harmony with nature, with God, with spirit, that you can find great wisdom in just how important something like water is, or how important it is to observe the way that creation takes place. You can learn a lot, he said, from just a simple spider, and noticing that a spider builds a web from a pattern that comes from within itself. And in the process of doing so, it allows whatever it is that comes to it to land there, and it isn't concerned with what doesn't come its way. The Tao says that we don't need to be in competition. We don't need to be anxious. We don't need to be fearful. We don't need to live lives of hatred, of revenge. He lived at a time of the warring states and was trying to teach people how to find peace when all around you are consumed with killing each other and hurting each other and hating each other. And so he asked us to look deep within ourselves and to find our own nature. And that's the second thing he said, is that everything has a nature, including you, and that you should abandon the idea that you are disconnected from that nature, from that divine place from which you came. So what it does, what the Tao has done, what I have tried to do in Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, is to teach people that no matter how you look at it, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begin to change. And that was going to be the original title for this book. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. It was just a little too long. So I came down to change your thoughts, change your life. Instead of thinking rigid thoughts, instead of thinking hard thoughts, think soft thoughts. And look for something like water.
and how water behaves. Why is the ocean, he said, the most powerful force in the universe? It's the most powerful force because it stays low, because it is humble and allows everything to come to it. The Tao says the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And that single step, what he's teaching us is to think small, to think about what you can do in this moment, rather than thinking big and then getting yourself consumed with never accomplishing anything. It teaches us to be content. It teaches us to be soft. It teaches us to be flexible. It teaches us to have an appreciation and an awareness that the Tao is in every single one of us, and every human being that you encounter, and every being that you encounter, and every plant and every animal and every tree that you encounter has the unfolding of God built into it. Find that truth. Find that truth within yourself. Look to your own nature. Discover that, and you'll have the greatest sense of peace you'll ever have. And I spent one entire year working on this book, living it, practicing it, and I've never been more peaceful, more joyful, and more a sense of aliveness of why I'm here and what I'm doing here. I don't question any of it. I just live in harmony with what Lao Tzu called the Great Tao. And the opening line of the Tao says, the Tao that can be named is not the Tao. You can't put a name on it. All you can do is feel it in your heart.
I have now finished 67 verses of the Tao. And I've written 67 essays on when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And this isn't just a clever play on words here. This is a quantum truth. As my friend Deepak Chopra has often said to me, quantum physics is not only stranger than you think it is, it's stranger than you can think. So that if you look at your origination, the place that you came from, this thing that Lao Tzu called the Tao, this great source that is everywhere, there is no place that it is not. And yet it is doing nothing. And yet it leaves nothing undone. If you go out and just go for a walk this afternoon when you get home, just look at the perfection of all that is. Just look at the clouds and look at the sky and look at the ocean and look at the trees and look at the leaves, and even more important, look at the space between the leaves. And look at the invisibleness and the perfection of how everything is. There's a constancy, if you will. And this constancy is always there. Here's what Lao Tzu said in verse 29. Do you think you can take over the universe and improve it? I do not believe it can be done. Everything under heaven is a sacred vessel and cannot be controlled. Trying to control leads to ruin. Trying to grasp, we lose. Allow your life to unfold naturally. Know that it too is a vessel of perfection. Just as you breathe in, breathe out. There is a time for being ahead, a time for being behind, a time for being in motion, a time for being at rest, a time for being vigorous, a time for being exhausted, a time for being safe, a time for being in danger. To the sage, all of life is a movement toward perfection. So what need has he for the excessive, the extravagant, or the extreme? There's a time for everything. Imagine if you knew this. If you really knew that what you were experiencing emotionally in your life was a part of what there is a time for, and that you're not really doing anything. Lao Tzu says it over and over again. You're not doing anything. You're being done. You're being done right now. You're one of the 10,000 things. And it is all being done, all of it. Like I do yoga every morning, or almost every morning, 5-6 days a week. I do this 90-minute Bikram yoga, this hot yoga. And this has helped me so much with just that simple little thing just remembering what it says in verse 29 of the Tao. That there are times when you're in the midst of yoga, when you have a position where you have to put this foot out, and you have to turn this one down, and you have to get down here like this, and you have to take this arm, and I'm going to do it. And you have to do that for 60 seconds in a 110-degree room. That's after doing many other postures as well. There was a time when I would do that and I'd be so exhausted, and all I could think about was, when is this 60 seconds going to be up? Oh my God, when are we going to get through with this posture? When are we going to get on to where I can lie down on the floor? And finally, and I began to realize as this doing the Tao thing has really changed me dramatically, so that now when I'm in that position with one arm down and one arm up, and it is exhausting, and you're stretching, and you've got your arm right next to your ear, and you're holding on, that you say to yourself, there's a time for being exhausted, and there's a time for rest. There's a time for things not to work out. Imagine if you knew that in the midst of my working with my daughter, for example, when I see the struggle that she's going to, and I can stand back and say, there's a time for her to experience this. And there's a time for her not to experience it. I don't think there's any more all-pervasive theme in the Tao Te Ching than the idea of being a non-interferer. Do you, Stephen? I mean, isn't it? It's about not interfering, isn't it? It's about letting go. It's about allowing. It's about detaching. It's about disconnecting yourself from this belief that you are in charge of other people. I'm the father of 8 children. And the father of motivation. That's what they tell me, so I've got... And as this father of 8 children, one of the things that I've recognized, and what has made me, I think, a better parent, particularly even since I've been doing this, is my willingness to, I call it the bite your tongue verse of the Tao. Just hang back just for a second, just as you're about to interfere, just as you're about to lay it on and tell somebody else how they should be and what they should do and how they should do it, you step back and realize that what Khalil Gibran, the great Lebanese poet, in writing in the Prophet, said was just a basic truth. Your children are not your children. They are the products of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not for you. And you step back, and I can't even begin to tell you how freeing it is to realize that you don't have anything to do. You don't have anyone to control. You can be at peace.
So, what we have to do is learn how to take this ego of ours, this part of us that believes that who we are is what we have, and what we do, and what other people think of us. But remember, if you grow up believing that you are what you do, then when you don't, you aren't. And if you believe that you are what you have, when it's gone, you aren't. And if you believe that you are what other people think of you, your reputation, which we raise people to believe, I have to be concerned with what other people think of me. Take this ego and retrain it. And one of the ways that you do to retrain it is, first, you take this idea that the ego has of fear. What are you afraid of? Anybody out there, what are you afraid of? Shift from fear to curiosity. Become curious about what you're afraid of. That's what Lao Tzu taught me. Become curious about what you're afraid of. You're afraid of flying? Get curious about that. Get interested in that. You're afraid of snakes, you're afraid of disapproval, you're afraid... Just shift from fear and say, I'm going to become more curious about what I'm afraid of. And then take all of the things that you're attached to, like all of your photographs, like all of your furniture, like all of your clothing, like all of the stuff that you find so much attachment to, and start letting it go. Start letting it go. You know, the day that I turned that key on May the 11th in 2006, I didn't even know where I was going. I just knew there was a shift taking place. I felt freer than I'd ever felt, I think, in my life. In my mid-60s, out there on a whole new adventure. And here we are talking about on national television on PBS. Take that idea that you have to be attached to things and know that you came in with nothing, with no thing, and you're going to leave with nothing, with no thing. And understand that your life is a parenthesis in eternity. Live there without attachments. And then take your need to be in control of yourself, of others, of the situation, and shift from control to trust. Begin to have a trust. Lao Tzu is profound about this. In each one of the 81 verses, it comes up about 60 times as you look at letting go and letting God, allowing yourself to trust in your nature, allowing yourself to no longer believe that everything has to be controlled by me, and that other people no longer have to be in control of me as well. Begin to trust. Just like you did for the first 9 months. You trusted. Your nose showed up. Your height showed up. Your eyes showed up. Whatever. It all showed up. It's all perfect. It's all divine. So why not wander through your life and have this wonderful, peaceful knowing that it's all fine? And finally, shift from your sense of entitlement. Nobody can treat me that way. I'm entitled to have this. Well, I paid for that. I let go. I mean, that in 1 year, I let go of all of my entitlements. I don't feel I'm entitled to anything. I'm just here. Shift from entitlements to radical humility. Lao Tzu speaks about it so often. Stay humble. Stay low. The greatest leaders are the ones who do the least. The ones who stay back and just model and allow. And at the end of the day, in one of the verses of the Tao, it says, the people will say, we did it ourselves. We did it ourselves. In verse 49 of the Tao Te Ching, here's an exact quote. The sage is kind to the kind and kind to the unkind because the nature of his being is kindness. And also, be wise and help all beings impartially, abandoning none. You know what I do? Just before I did this program, I have to admit I was nervous. I was humbled by it. Like, who are you, Wayne Dyer? Who are you to read the Tao and believe that you can interpret it on television and interpret it in a book and spend a year and say, like, I got real humble with that. And you know what I say? Tao, which is just another word for God, or Source, or Krishna, or Allah, or whatever you want to call it, guide me. Guide me now. I have that awareness before I come out. If you knew, it says in the Course in Miracles, if you knew who walked beside you at all times on this path that you have chosen, you could never experience fear or doubt again. Okay, let's go on to the next thought. To change. So you're changing from not trusting in your nature to trusting in your nature. You change your thought from I need more to what I call living contentment. What is this thing about more? It's the mantra of the ego, isn't it? I have to have more. I have to collect more stuff. I have to have more friends. I have to have more money. It's more, when where you came from nowhere. You don't need anything. It's a continuous bombardment that we are all exposed to in this whole world of believing that we have to have more. It's one of the reasons why I love public television so much. You don't see ads on PBS. You don't have to be constantly exposed to the idea that you have to have more and you have to get more, and if you don't have this, then you're not complete, and so on. So we get bombarded with this idea of attracting more. And Lao Tzu says, live contentment. Live in a state of being contented. Here's verse 81, the last verse of the Tao Te Ching, my favorite translation of it, and I put it right into the book. Sages do not accumulate anything, but give everything to others. Having more, the more they give.
The idea of just saying to myself, okay, I'm going to go 19 years and never have a drink again. That's just enough to send you off on a binge, isn't it?
But you can do easy things, and you can get anywhere from here. You ever hear the line, a journey of 1,000 miles, what, begins with one step? That's right out of the Tao Te Ching. That was Lao Tzu. It's so simple. So when you think about balance in your life, think like this about being in balance. You have a dream, and your dream is to live a life that goes a certain way, that looks a certain way, that feels a certain way. You have a dream that you would like to be able to attract prosperity into your life, that you would like to live a prosperous life. My favorite example, I did it on the PBS show, of the lady sitting next to me from San Francisco who was flying back from Maui after having just done a wedding. And I said to her, "What do you do?" And she said, "I'm a photographer." And I said, "Oh, how's it going?" And she said, "Well," she said, "I'm never going to get rich at it." Now, this is just a thought. Is it true? I don't know if it's true. How can that be? How can you know if that's true, that you're never going to get rich? You don't know. So I said to her, "Well, would you like to get rich?" This was what I always ask when people ask. Well, she said, "Well, of course." She said, "Who wouldn't want to be rich? Everybody wants to be able to buy the things they want. We all want that." I said, "So let me see if I understand. You would like to get rich. That's your dream. But what you offer up to that dream is that it'll never happen. That's out of balance." That's the kind of balance I'm speaking about. Not the kind of balance that allows you to do these kinds of things. The kind of balance that you begin to realize that there's a misalignment, if you will, between what it is that you are thinking and what it is that you offer up in the way of habits to make those dreams a reality. I call it principles for creating habits to match your desire. Listen to this quote. It's from Ralph Waldo Emerson. He said, want, like what you want, is a growing giant whom the coat of have was never large enough to cover. Want is a growing giant whom the coat of have was never large enough to cover. That is, what you want and what you have are completely and totally out of balance. And Lao Tzu says this to you through me. When you put your attention on what you intend to create and you stay aligned with the way, with the source from which you came, it will show up. It has to. It has to. So that all of the deficiencies, all of the things that you want but are not able to manifest, have not manifested yet into your life, all of it is not because the universe isn't working with you. It will. It's because you are not a vibrational match, an energetic match to what it is that you would like to create. And all today is about is learning to change the way you look at your life and understanding that the life that you're living will change just by your changing your opinion about it. It's so beautifully freeing to not be concerned any longer with whether or not what you would like to have is going to show up. If you would like to accomplish something, you must first expect it of yourself. And my question to you is, what do you expect of yourself? Do you expect to be able to perform miracles, to attract into your life the kind of prosperity that you are entitled to? Do you expect that you can manifest the kind of relationships that you would like? In order to be able to have these kinds of expectations for yourself, you have to make a dramatic change, a dramatic shift.
You must change what's possible for you and what you believe is possible for you.
Move from thinking in a rigid way to thinking and being flexible, soft, and allowing. From rigidity to softness. What a wonderful transformation that is. I was standing looking with my son Sands, and we were on Maui, and we were looking at water as water was going against some rocks and some cliffs and so on. And in these pictures, in this moment, I said to my son, I said, which do you think is stronger? The water or the cliff? The water or the rocks? Which one do you think is more powerful and stronger? And he said, well, he said the rocks, obviously they're stronger and they're bigger and all. I said, water is very, very patient, isn't it? How much chance do those rocks have if they want to survive? I mean, what chance do they have? That would, and Lao Tzu is speaking to us about understanding our nature by examining how nature works and then making it apply to our thoughts, so that a soft thought, a thought that isn't a rigid thought, a thought that doesn't say you have to be this way or you have to be that way, a thought that is not stiff, a thought that water, there are so many references to water and what we can learn from water. You're 75% water. The planet is 75% water. We are water. The rest of us is just muscled water. It's all water. And water is soft. Water can enter anywhere. You get into a conflict with somebody else, and you picture yourself as water. You can enter with water in any place that there's an opening. If you can visualize yourself as a being who moves into the space of water, if you can see yourself that way, you can just enter into those places in the people that you love, in your children, in your spouse, in anyone at all, and enter there softly. Here's verse 8. The supreme good is water, which nourishes all things without trying to. And verse 78, right smack out of the Tao. Nothing in the world is softer and weaker than water. But for attacking the hard, the unyielding, nothing can surpass it. There is nothing like it. Here it is. I asked when they designed this set, this beautiful set, and thank you designers for this, I asked if I could have water on the stage. They did it. They figured it out. There's Now, I'm going to try to get some of this water, okay? So you get down here and you I'm going to just scoop this up. Okay, now tighter you hold it, the less chance you have of doing anything with it, isn't it? How can I experience water? The way to experience water is to just get soft, just get unbending. And there it is. That's what water is. The minute I grasp it, the minute I try, and Lao Tzu is saying the same thing is true in everything in your life. The more you grasp, the more you try to hold on to it, the more you try to be rigid with it, the less control you have of it. In front of my place on Maui, there is a beautiful set of 11 or 12 palm trees. And these are like 30, 40, 50 feet tall. They've been there for, I don't know how long, decades. And when the winds come and when the storms come, the storms will blow them over. There they are, watch. And they're just these amazing elastic things. I learned so much from these things. I go out there, when I wrote the essay in the book on the verse 73, I just went out there with the palm trees and I would just commune with these palm trees, and they go all the way up and then they come all the way back. That's a symbol for how we need to think in our own lives. In verse 73 it says, "It is heaven's way to conquer without striving. It does not ask, yet it is supplied with all that it needs. It does not hurry, yet it completes everything on time." One of my favorite lines from the Tao, one of my favorite beliefs from the Tao is this, that you're doing nothing. All of you, you're doing nothing. You're just being done.
just like you were the first 9 months of your life. You think you're out there and you're making this happen and you're making that happen and you've got all these rigid things and you have to apply your life this way. You're not doing anything any more than you were having your fingernails show up when they were supposed to. And look at you, look at all of you, look around, it's like, what held it in yesterday? I don't know, I'm not doing anything. They fall out and they don't fall out no matter how hard I try to keep them in there. Finally my kid said, give it up, give it up. So I was over in England and they told me that I couldn't take my shampoo bottles on the plane and there's nothing you can do about it. I said, yes, there is. I'll just shave my head. I no longer need shampoo. Okay, so we want to move from stiffness to flexibility.